Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. So happy new year everybody. I hope that you've had a good start to the year and getting back into the swing of things. I have had a good start to the year and a bit of a reset, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we play with this year. But I'm starting off the year doing a junk journal challenge, and it's called Junk Journal January 2026. And it's ran by Creativity and Coffee. So if you'd like to participate in it, all the information will be down below. It's a fantastic prompts list, actually. It's really engaging and gets you thinking a little bit. Now, some of you may not have seen the video where I created this journal. It actually was a recap, reflect, and reset video. So the first half of the video, I recap on some things, reflect on a few things, and then I do a reset of where we're going in 2026 on the channel. And while I was chatting, I put together this journal. So let me show you, for those of you that have not seen it. It's just a very, very basic accordion journal. You can see that it's accordion style, and it's purely made out of junk. So you can see I've got some cruising brochures here that were sent to me in junk mail, and I have turned that into an accordion journal. So you can head over to that video and have a look at how I put it together if you're interested, and it will be linked below in the playlist for this challenge. For those of you that did watch this video, thank you very much for watching that and welcome back. And in that video I chat about how I'm scaling back the number of videos that I do this year, and I'm going to do longer videos with a little bit more playing in them, a little bit more mixed media, and hopefully a lot more fun and engaging for you. What I'm going to do with this challenge, because it has 31 prompts, I'm actually going to be doing 6 prompts today. On each page you can see I've marked this one 1 to 3 and this one 4 to 6. So on each page I'm doing 3 prompts, and I'm pulling together the 3 prompts to create a little bit of a story. So on this page here we have Creative Reset, Mood Board, and Time Warm. And then on this page we have Landscape, Echo, and Page as Object. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cover the pages. I'm going to stick down some other pages onto it in a color palette that I want to work with. And I'm going to use an old book that is time worn to cover those. So let's pull out the book that I'm going to pull some pages out of and stick that down. Now I don't speak Italian. I think this is Italian, and I think it's an Italian dictionary. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out some of these nicely aged pages, and I'm going to use them to cover my pages in my journal. So let's cut out some of those. I'll cut out 2, and I'm just going to run my knife down them and cut them. And I'm going to cut these down to size and stick them onto the page. And I'm going to try and keep some of this lovely patina on the edge of the page because of that prompt that is time worn. So over time the pages have changed color a little bit and got that lovely patina on it. So let's work with that. I'm also going to get a little bit of washi and just reinforce this. So let me get my table set up and we'll start putting the background together. Okay, so I have cut those pages down. You can see that I've tried to keep the edges, but I'm going to actually ink them as well. And I have pulled out some washi tape that I'm going to reinforce the middle of the journal with. And it is an All-in Create. I'm not sure of the name of the washi tape, but it is number 15. So you'll be able to have a look for that. And I'm just going to glue some of that on. I hope everybody's enjoying the start to the year. There's lots of fantastic challenges out there to sink your teeth into. The problem for me is working out which ones I want to do and which ones I have time to do. I'll probably want to do more than I've got time for. Now, I think what I'd like to do with this before I glue it down is I think I'd like to just put a little bit of gesso onto this because the backgrounds on here are very dark So I'm going to paint some gesso onto it. Let's get that. I'm just going to paint it on, and that will pull back some of that colour. So I will do that. And I possibly should do this on the whole journal at some point. Possibly before I see you next time, I might do that, so it's a bit more prepped. But I didn't want to do too much to it without you seeing it first. That will help with just pulling it back, and I'll dry it off and we should be good to go. Okay, while that's drying, I'm going to prep this a little bit. I want to ink this up a little bit, and I think I'll ink it, and I'll also put a little bit of stenciling on it, because we're going to get into the prompts. Now, the first prompt says creative reset, and if you'd watched my other video about resetting, you would have heard me talking about playing more. So my creative reset topic for this page today is time to play. And I have played a little bit in preparation for this, but I also want to take opportunities to maybe try different things and, give things a go. If they don't work, it doesn't matter, you learn from it. And I want to put some stenciling on this background before I stick it down. So let's pull something out. I think I'll pull out my vintage photo, and I'm going to pull out a stencil that I can put a little bit of ink onto. So let's just ink this up first. I want to ink that edge really well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this stencil on and give it a little bit of ink blending. That will do on that one, I think. This one here I'm going to do a little bit more. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's glue our pages down. And I'm just going to use glue stick for that. Okay, that's one. I'll do the other one. Okay, so we have our background done, and I'm happy with that. It looks a little bit like the inside cover of the dictionary, doesn't it? Okay, so the prompts that I need to do on this page are creative reset, mood board, and time worn. Well, we've got some time worn paper on there, which I'm happy about. Now, I've had a little bit of a play with some watercolour, and that's because my creative reset statement is going to be time to play. So let me show you what I played with. Now, earlier today, I played with some watercolour, and I dropped down some swatches of different colours in the colour palette that I was wanting to do. And I have pulled out a few images as well. I have pulled out some lovely mosaic tiles, a lovely stuccoed building, which is very time worn, isn't it? They're very aged, both of those. I have some old motif wallpaper, and I think I'll pull out some fabric and have a little of a play on that as well. So the photos that I've got here, they're all of different materials on buildings. And you can see that I'm heading down the road of doing some sort of mood board, but I wanted to show some materials that were used on aged buildings or time-worn buildings. And also I want to show a collection of materials of things that I want to play with in my creative time this year. So watercolor is definitely one of them. But I don't just want to cut out a swatch and stick it on. I want to do other things on it. So I want to do some mark making on it, and I want to pull out some of the motifs and the shapes that are on some of these things and play on the watercolors. So let's put my journal to the side for the moment, and I'm going to play on these swatches with some penwork and maybe some paint pen and maybe even a little bit of gold watercolor, something like that. So let's have a little bit of playtime. As you can see, I have just done a few little marks on this one. I'm going to do a few little marks on some of them. I've pulled out a paint pen. Okay, so I think that what I might do is you can see that we've got some lovely leaf designs on these. I might try doing a few leaf ones on some of the greens and see how that turns out. And it's just a black paint pen. Let's do some dashed lines, and it'll become clear later why I'm doing dashed lines. Different sizes. We might also do some little squares as if they're mosaics. So let's do some little squares. Just repeating the patterns that we can see in our images. That's all right. Now I also want to stamp a few with some stamps. Let's put the lid on that. And I'm just pulling out the stamp from All and Create number 535, Ticketed Snippets. So let's stamp a few stamps. And I'm just stamping a few labels on different ones. I don't know which ones I'm going to use yet, but that doesn't matter. Let's just stamp a few. And I'm just going to pull out Stampers Anonymous. It is a stamp and stencil combo, and the number is THMM123. I'm just going to stamp onto some of the swatches a little bit of a pattern. Oh, that one's nice. I like that. And let's try gold on it and see what happens. I'm just going to try some circles in some white paint pen and some lines. There we go. I've played a little bit. We have a few different samples. I'm not sure what we're going to do with them yet, but we'll probably cut them out and I'll do a mood board. So I'll clear the decks and dry them off and come back to you in a moment. So I have cut all those little bits out that I played with all of those paint swatches and the stamping. And what I did then was, just so I wasn't taking up a lot of time on camera, I have laid down a bit of a layout for a mood board with some of those swatches on that I did. Now I have two of the images out of the three. I ended up ditching this one. I couldn't get it to work how I wanted it to work, but I'm happy with this one. So what I'm going to do, you can see that I have got the inspiration images, then I've got some of my swatches in there that I've played with, and then I've stamped out time to play. Let's get it stuck down. Okay, I have stuck all those down and I've got some spares, which is wonderful. It's always good to have a few spares to play with down the track. I'll keep those because I might play with them in future pages. Now I have some of the prompts to stick on, and this one says Creative Reset, and my Creative Reset is time to play. And I punched this out with my Dymo machine. So I'll pop that there. And then the next one we've got is mood board. And I'm going to put the mood board one down here over the paint swatch. If you hear some noises in the background, it's my daughter and son-in-law. They're in the backyard and they're teaching my granddaughter to ride her bike without her training wheels. So she's practicing to ride, no training wheels, and we're having a few spills and lots of encouragement, which is lovely. It's been quite a while since I've done a mood board. It'll be over 10 years, I think. So there's Time Worn, and I've got some inspiration images on there of some time worn tiles and some time worn paint and finishes on our building. So let's put a little bit of penwork on that, and I'm just going to do some scratchy lines around our words, and I'm going to put some around our prompts as well. And I think that I might put a little bit of line work onto some of our images, and I might just put a little bit of Pitt pen on here. So let me pull out the Pitt pen. I'm going to draw on this image here, I'm going to do some squiggles onto the mosaics that are there. And let's put a little bit, like I said, of Pitt pen on. Now Pitt pen, our Faber-Castell Pitt pen, I love these. They're artist jewel markers, and they've got Indian ink in them, and they're really good for layering up and intensifying the ink or the saturation of the colour in an image. And I'm going to use some cotton buds to spread it out. So I will just put a bit of ink on and then spread it out. And you can see that it really deepens that colour. And you can see that it just really intensifies that little bit of colour that is there, brings it to life and makes it stand out more. And I'm just going to put a little bit of penwork on this one so it looks a little bit more sketchy. So there we go, that's my first page. Now I'm going to do the next one, and I've got quite a bit of prep done for the next one. So let's go on to that. So for our next one, our prompts are landscape, echo, and page as an object. So some of you might be thinking, Annie, why have you got a number 11 over here? And I'm going to show you why. My page as an object is going to be a door. You can see that I have already prepped it, and I have put some Pitt pen on it like I just did on this one and intensified the colour. And I've cut it out. It's an image that is a door. So it said page as an object, and you can see that I've cut the door, I've backed it, and I've also inked it, and over here is a number 11. So I'm going to stamp on and echo or repeat the number 11 all over this image, and I wanted to bring the number 11 over to here. I also wanted to bring an image onto this page that was time worn, and you can see that the door is very time worn. And you can also see that I have a letter M and a letter S, and I've started going over the fretwork here, and then I stopped. You can see that I have started it with a white gel pen, so I'm going to go over that first, and I'm going to just put a little bit of the ink on the back of the door that is of this stencil, so that it's carrying that into the design. So let's start by just popping that to the side, and I'm going to ink the back of this with our stencil. So let's do that. I'm going to use the same stencil, and I'm just going to use Vintage Photo. It is the back of the door, so it's not going to matter if it's not perfect, but I wanted it to have something on the back of the door, so that because the doors are going to be swinging open. So there we go, that's great. There we go, when you open it, it brings in that pattern. And we'll bring out our gel pen, and I'll just go over this fretwork. The spirals are echoing some of the spirals that are over here, so that's why I wanted to make sure that I pulled them out. So let's just do that. Okay, so I've done the gel pen on here, and like I said, I wanted to pick up that iron fretwork so that it carried over the spirals from over here. And I also want to stamp down here number 11, just so that it's echoing that number 11 that's on our door here. So let's stamp some 11s on there. Okay, I have a few number 1s, so let's do that, and we're going to do 11 on it. So there's one of them. I might do another one down here. Now I have a very small one that I think I'll put next to the number 11 and repeat it. So echoing that number 11 around the place, almost like it's a pattern, a dash pattern, which is why I did this dash pattern here. I'm liking that actually. I wasn't sure how that was going to turn out, to be honest. I think that's enough. Okay, so we have now, off of our prompts list, we have a object as our page, which is our door, and we have echo. We're echoing the number 11 onto our composition. And then the last one was landscape. So where is our landscape? And I found an image, and just like I did the pit pen on this door over here, I did some pit pen and line work onto my landscape image, and I'm going to glue that inside my door. So let's glue that on. So what I'll do is I'll put some glue around the edge of this door, just where I've folded it. I think I need to refill my art glitter glue. It's getting a bit hard to squeeze out. Okay, the last thing that I showed you was gluing our landscape into the door, and then unfortunately I didn't realize that my microphone had died. So I'm just doing a recap of what I did after that. So you can see that I just glued in my page into the journal, and then the only thing that I did that you missed was that I glued on our 3 prompts and did a little bit of line work. So let's have a little look at both of the pages, and I'll show you how we finished them up. So you can see that I've done a little bit of a story of almost like a Mediterranean or an Italian villa of some sort that's got a door and a view. And on this side, you can see that I picked some images of a villa that have time-worn materials. So some little mosaics creating a picture, and then the paint on the outside of the building is all time-worn. And then I did a little bit of playing because our prompt is creative reset. So the creative reset bit is time to play. And that's where I did some watercolour swatches, and then I played on it. I did some stamping on it, and I also did some mark making and then cut those out. I've put a few other finishes on there. I put a little bit of fabric on there as well, and I did some stenciling on the back of some time-worn Italian dictionary page. And all of it comes together as a mood board. So that's this page with the 3 prompts. And then our next page is looking out of the aged and time-worn building and looking through the door. And you can see that I have echoed our door. So our 3 prompts on this side are page as an object, and this page is all about a door. As the page opens up, and one of our prompts is landscape. So we've got a nice landscape actually of the Amalfi Coast and the villa that we can see. So here's our villa, and it's got a magnificent view of the Amalfi Coast. And when you open it up, you can see that I've put the prompt on here, and I've put the landscape prompt here, And then the other prompt was echo. And what I did was I echoed the number 11 all down the edge here and stamped it on, and I also echoed it over here. So there we go. There's our 6 prompts on a double spread, and it's been fun playing with it. It's got lots of texture, it's interactive, and I use lots of different types of mixed media on it, which is one of my goals this year, is to play with lots of different mediums and have fun and broaden my experience with different types of mixed media. So I'll just bring it a little bit closer so you can see it. There we go. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's got lots of texture and it's got lots of dimension. So there we go. There's prompts number 1 to 6 in the Junk Journal January 2026 challenge, and it is ran by Creativity and Coffee, and I'll link her information below if you'd like to join in. Now the next spread, which will be this page, we're doing 7 to 9 and then 10 to 12. So I'm basically doing one a week approximately. So this page is going to be touch, font and threaded, and the next page is going to be mood, unfinished and still frame. So that should be fun. I'm going to have to get my thinking hat on to work out what I'm going to do for those. So thank you very much for watching me today. I really appreciate you spending the time watching the video. Thanks for sticking through to the end. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below on what part of my 6 prompts that you liked the most. That would be great to hear from you. So have a great week creating something fun and new, and I'll see you on Thursday. Thanks again. Bye for now.